Opening day is waking up refreshed from a long winter's nap. It's walking up the ramp to your first sunlit field. It's the first hat over a heart, the first sweep of home plate. It's the first windup, the first pitch, the first swing and a miss. It's zeros across the board. The first shot across the sky. It's hope restored. It's a chase renewed. Opening day is nothing to lose and nowhere to go but up. It's the dream of repeating or completing the job nearly done. It's banking on your power and thinking positively despite key changes. It's looking at your blend of youth and experience and seeing nothing but good times and maybe a world title ahead. And that's opening day. It's stars and stripes. It's the first day of the thrills and chills of another season. Opening day is here. And here we are at Busch Stadium, the festivities before the game. Bob Gibson came out right after Albert Pujols and Stan the Man Musial himself fashioning that famous swing. They are the world champions of baseball as they begin the 2007 season in their new ballpark, Busch Stadium. Tonight, it is ESPN2's opening night baseball built by the Home Depot. And on a beautiful night, spectacular night, the New York Mets, who had the best record in the National League, they won the East up against the Cardinals. They were the best at the end. They're the champions of the world. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 18th season of baseball coverage, Major League Baseball on ESPN and ESPN2. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. And Joe, you're a much better dresser now than you were 18 years ago, let me just say.
I hear you.
All right. Now, we've got the Mets, who had a great season, but at the very end, their staff was depleted, and it was the Cardinals, who did not have a very good season, but they were spectacular in the stretch in October, and they won it all. When you see the Cardinals, you always get to see one of the greatest players in the game today, Albert Pujols.
And John, the first thing you think about when you hear the name Pujols, home runs, RBIs, high batting average. But now when I think about Albert Pujols, I think of the complete player. He can steal a base for you in a close game. A great defensive first baseman. He won a Gold Glove last year. And to top that off, he is the unquestioned leader of these world champion St. Louis Cardinals. That's a complete player. And last year, opening day, he hit 2 home runs. Today, he may have a little tougher task because he's up against one of the great pitchers of his era, Tom Glavine. He hasn't hit any home runs in the regular season off Tom Glavine, but he's 9 for 20. I'm looking forward to seeing which one of these great players will be successful tonight.
All right, so that's one of the great aspects of opening night. A great matchup. Glavine up against Pujols. Now, the Mets have one of the best lineups in all of baseball. Sluggers like David Wright, Carlos Beltran, and, of course, Carlos Delgado. But Peter Gammons is here with us. The man who generates all the excitement in the Big Apple is that electric leadoff man, Jose Reyes.
Well, John, I mean, there are a lot of players on the Mets that could be MVP candidates, but the man everyone talks about is Jose Reyes. I mean, it's not just numbers. I mean, he did, in terms of hits and stolen bases and home runs and runs, reach plateaus that no other players ever reached in baseball history. But it's 2 things that makes him stand out. The first is his energy. He is constantly on the go. He is the driving wheel of this team. And the other thing is his remarkable ability to learn. I mean, as a rookie, he had a 270 on base. Last year it was over 350, and it will get better. Testament to his ability to be able to have baseball instinct and great baseball intelligence, and most important, as Willie Randolph puts out, the same obsession with greatness as Albert Pujols and Derek Jeter.
Peter, we will see those guys, and we'll see, in fact, Jose Reyes momentarily, and he'll be leading it off against the Cardinals ace, Chris Carpenter, Cy Young winner 2 years ago. Opening night, St. Louis. We are about to begin.
ESPN Opening Night is built by the Home Depot. You can do it, we can help. And in part by Excedrin Back and Body. Its dual ingredient formula turns a double play on pain. Stay tuned for this week's Excedrin Back and Body Double Play Getaway Trivia Challenge. And Budweiser, the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Open up a world of taste.
In St. Louis, and this ESPN telecast is available in high definition on ESPN2 HD, presented by Olivia. The New York Mets, they won 97 games last year, and all season long they were the best team by far in the National League. But then at the very end, the St. Louis Cardinals rose up and beat them in a dramatic 7-game league championship series, and the Mets went home and the Cardinals went to the series. Tony La Russa winning his first world championship as manager of the Cardinals, first World Series championship that a Cardinal team had since 1982. He's got the third most wins in regular season play of any manager in Major League history. And there's Willie Randolph starting his third year at the helm of the New York Mets. They have improved by 12 wins or more in each of his first 2 seasons as a manager, and no new manager has ever done that in history other than Willie Randolph. Let's take a look at the Mets batting order now. Jose Reyes, the exciting leadoff man, is at shortstop. Then Paul LoDuca, the veteran, hit .318 last year, the catcher hitting second. Carlos Beltran, 41 homers last year, center field. Carlos Delgado, 38 home runs. The Mets murderer's row. He's at first. Then David Wright, the exciting young third baseman, 116 batted in last year, third base. Moises Alou picked up in the offseason from the Giants, left field. Sean Green, another veteran, is in right field hitting 7th. Jose Valentin had an excellent season with the Mets last year, second base hitting 8th. And Tom Glavine, with 290 lifetime wins, gets the opening day assignment for the 4th time as a Met. And there is Chris Carpenter, one of the best pitchers in the National League, Joe, Cy Young winner 2 years ago.
Well, he's going up against a potent lineup, but he's prepared. He's got a great fastball that he spots very well, and he mixes his pitches up very well. He's got a great curveball also, and this spring he worked on a changeup. So that gives these hitters one more thing that they have to think about, but his curveball is very dominant, and so is his fastball. And let's take a look at the Cardinals defensively. And they kept most of their guys, their everyday players. Only new guy in this lineup is Adam Kennedy. He was with the Angels last year, and he is a welcome addition here because he can swing the bat. And he can steal some bases. He stole 16 bases last year, which was more than anyone else on the Cardinals stole.
So Taguchi led the Cardinals with only 11 steals last year, the first time in nearly 40 years that a team did that little running in terms of base stealing and still won it all.
You can't imagine a Cardinal team, when you think about Whitey Herzog being on it here tonight, all of his teams were complete with base stealers.
So here we go, the 2007 season about to begin. And there is Jose Reyes, 19 homers, 30 doubles, 17 triples last year. And the first pitch of 2007 is too low for ball 1 to Reyes.
And make no mistake about it, John, he's the most exciting player in the game today. Whether he's running the bases, playing defense, or in the batter's box, he is exciting.
That's a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now the rap on Reyes used to be that he was much too impatient at the plate, rarely took a walk, and he's been working as he fouls that one off to make it 1-2. He'd been working the last couple of years with Ricky Henderson, one of the maybe the greatest leadoff man of all time. Ricky was not only a base stealer, but he got a lot of walks, and he has worked with Reyes on the aspect of being a little more patient. Curveball that hung a little bit too high, and the count is 2-2. 46 walks for Reyes last year, and already you could see the 1 walk per 46 plate appearances last year, and that is an out. Let me just say this. I don't have the slightest idea what I just looked at. Let me just go back.
Well, guess what?
Start over.
No,
again.
you made the point without statistics. You made the point that he has progressed as a leadoff hitter and knowing the strike zone. He's a little more patient than he was when he first came up.
He walked 53 times last year. So his walks are up. There we go.
Yeah.
The batter now is Paul LoDuca. You're always saying, don't get all carried away with all those stats.
You know, I don't care about that much about statistics.
LoDuca, beauty, right on the outside corner at the knees for a called strike.
As the old saying goes, just use the statistics to embellish your point. Don't let the statistic be the point.
No, you never told me that.
Oh, I didn't? Okay. Well, it took me 18 years. I just expressed it.
And you've never used the word embellish either.
Oh, well, you're right about that.
1 ball, 1 strike to LoDuca.
To prove your point.
And he works the inside corner. So he started him on the outside with a fastball. And then 2 pitches later, hits the inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And that's why Carpenter is so difficult for hitters to adjust to. He moves the ball in and out, and he has great breaking stuff.
And a foul out of play off to the right. Chris Carpenter, is not unusual for him to get the opening day assignment, and not only pitched opening day the last 2 years, but won each of those 2 years. That is punched into right field and just foul. That's why LoDuca is so tough, though. Tough to strike out, and usually puts the ball in play.
And that's why I like him hitting second. I know there was talk of David Wright hitting second. We'll get into that later, but LoDuca allows Jose Reyes to do his thing. He does not mind taking a pitch or 2, and he can always protect the plate. Some hitters can't get behind in the count 0-2 and still make a good swing, but LoDuca fights it off until he gets a good pitch.
1 and 2 strikes to LoDuca. And right there is Adam Kennedy back with the Cardinals, and he might have had some opening day butterflies there. Joe, he almost threw that one away. Albert Pujols had some quick reactions to haul it in. 2 down. You may recall several years ago, Adam Kennedy, a Cardinal, was part of a trade with the Angels that brought Jim Edmonds here to St. Louis. And now, all these years later, they have Edmonds out in center field, and Kennedy is back. 2 down, Carlos Beltran, 41 homers a year ago, takes a strike. He's a switch hitter. He's got great speed. And once you get into that Mets power, you're in it for a while. That is a called strike. 0-2 on the outside. And it was a sad moment for Mets fans. The Mets season last year ended with Beltran at the plate and the bases loaded, looking at strike 3 and a curve from Wainwright. And on that strikeout, the Mets went home and the Cardinals went to the World Series. When you see that pitch, though, I don't know what Beltran could have done with that one. 1-2. There's a breaking ball, and Kennedy boots it, picks it back up. Out! So Kennedy with a rather difficult baptism of fire, but no harm done. Albert Pujols will be coming up third against Tom Glavine when we come back. The 2007 Major League Baseball season is underway. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. Opening night at Busch Stadium, and the Mets have gone down, and now Tony La Russa's Cardinals are coming up. Let's take a look at the batting order. Here's Pujols. He'll be up third in the inning. Following, David Eckstein. Eckstein will lead it off at shortstop. Then Preston Wilson in left field. Powerful right-handed hitter. Then Albert Pujols, one of the greats in the game. 49 big flies last year. Scott Rowland, nearly the MVP of the World Series, third base. Yadier Molina, the hero of Game 7 against the Mets with a home run. Jim Edmonds in center field, recovering from various ailments. So Taguchi starts in right field. Then Adam Kennedy at second base, hitting 8th as the new Cardinal. And then Chris Carpenter is batting 9th, all up against Tom Glavine. 290 lifetime wins for one of the great left-handers in the game.
Well, Tom Glavine hasn't changed very much, except he will pitch inside every once in a while now. But he never gives in to a hitter in any situation. It doesn't matter. He will throw his pitch. But he will pitch inside more often now than earlier in his career, and I think that's what he had to do.
Eckstein leads off against Glavine, and that is too high for ball one.
After a while, everyone gets a scouting report on you. You have to change something just to keep them honest. And I think that's what he has done the last couple of years, is go inside a little bit more often.
Glavine making his 8th opening day start, 4th as a Met. He also had 4 openers with the Atlanta Braves. I asked him, I said, were there any of those opening day assignments really stand out for you? And he thought for a moment. He said, no. Not really. He said, I really can't remember any of them. There's a foul down the right field line. But that's a guy who's done a lot of pitching.
Yeah.
He was a 15-game winner.
A lot of successful pitching.
Yeah.
If he got beat around a few times, he would remember some of those. But he probably pitched well most of the time, and that's what he expects to do. The only things you remember, John, are the unexpected things.
Well, we always expect him to pitch well.
Right.
1-2 the count. On the hands, and Eckstein picking right up where he left off in the World Series. Dunks it into center field to get the Cardinals rolling. The first base runner of the game.
That's exactly what we're talking about with him. Every once in a while now he'll come inside, and this pitch is inside, even though it's supposed to be inside. He gets it inside, but not enough. It's on the inner half of the plate instead of inside, and you can see Eckstein just fights it off. He got jammed. If that ball's in the spot he wanted it, 6 more inches inside, he probably would have jammed him completely.
Now
Good hitting by Eckstein.
Excellent hitting by Eckstein, and that's his game. He's a pest. They've got the leadoff man for the Mets. He's the leadoff man everybody wants. And then there's Eckstein. He's got a whole different game. He's not a base stealer. He's just a guy who bugs the opposition. And Wilson with a little tap foul. By the end of the World Series last year, the last 3-4 games, they just could not get him out. And he won the MVP of that World Series. And I remember the early going in the World Series, the talk was that Eckstein was too beat up. Remember, he didn't get any hits in the first 2 games. And then they couldn't get him out the last 3 games. A little bit low on the outside with a changeup, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Albert Pujols is on deck.
John, this is where you see the different philosophies of the 2 managers. You know, Tony La Russa likes to have a power hitter hitting behind his leadoff guy, so he gets a lot of fastballs. But the reason for that, he doesn't have a guy like Reyes who can steal 60 or 70 bases.
Third base side, man. Nice pickup by Wright. The second one, Valentin to first. A double play.
That's a tough play to have for your first play of the season. That was an in-between hop, and there wasn't anything he could do about it. He just had to use his hands, soft hands, and he was able to make the play. Now watch this ball. You want the ball on the short hop or the big hop. That's the in-between hop right there. You don't like to catch it that way. You have to have soft hands to be able to make that play. And a nice play there by David Wright. Nice turn at second by Valentin.
Albert Pujols, he missed 19 games last year, still had 49 homers and 137 batted in. And he goes inside to Albert, and that's ball 1.
That's a show-me pitch. He's not thinking inside the pitch to Albert inside.
Albert has never hit a home run against Glavine. On the other hand, he's hitting .450 lifetime against him. Well, he worked that one toward the inside, got it up too high. 2-0.
But remember, I guarantee you, when he comes inside to Albert, he will not miss his spot as he did with Eckstein. It will be off the plate inside. But the reason Albert hits him so well, he can go the other way on the pitches away.
Changeup away. Ball 3.
Albert uses the entire field. That's why a guy like Glavine, he can have some success against Glavine because he's not overpowering, and he just takes the pitch away to right field.
He did homer against Glavine in the postseason, as you saw there. And that is a called strike with a fastball on the outside. 3-1.
I'm sure Albert had the green light there, but he probably didn't think he was going to get a good pitch to hit.
And he didn't. Here's the 3-1 delivery. On the outside, this time he took a shot and missed it. Strike 2.
Changeup, nice changeup right on the outside corner. See him cup it, changeup. A little bit off the plate there. You see a changeup.
3-2 to Albert. 2 down, nobody on. Another changeup. Over into right center, Beltran, and that is the inning. So the pitchers, two of the best in the National League, have established themselves early on. Now more sluggers coming up. Delgado, right, and Moises Alou against Carpenter. Opening night for Major League Baseball 2007. The world champion Cardinals up against the Mets. No score after one. Great pitching matchup here. Tom Glavine going for the Mets against Chris Carpenter of the Cardinals, and the slugger Delgado hit 38 homers last year. Slaps one foul on the third base side. Strike one.
And he was all smiles today, John. When I talked to him, he had a son, Carlos Antonio.
First child for he and his wife.
First child. And he said his wife was doing fine, so he's pleased and happy to be back playing baseball.
1 ball, 1 strike to the dangerous Delgado. Curveball. Right fielder Preston Wilson easing to his left. Plenty of time. Out number 1.
That was an interesting pitch there because he got Delgado off. That's what they call when they talk about slowing a guy's bat speed down. Watch. Delgado just he slows down to make contact with this swing, with this pitch. And watch the swing. See how he just slows his bat down. When you slow your bat speed down that much, you're not going to ever drive the ball. So he's slowing it down, extending just to try to make contact.
Now a curveball for a first pitch strike to David Wright, another Mets run producer. 26 homers, 116 batted in last year, hitting .311. Remember, he's only 24 years old. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jose Reyes is 23. Wright is 24. Beltran, for that matter, is only 29. One of the core of this lineup. But they also have some guys who've been around a long time, like Delgado and Alou. There's Eckstein. Got that same throwing style. Looks like a little kid trying to get it all the way over there, and he almost always does.
It's like he has the muscle up to make every throw, but he does it accurately and in time. Well, he has to wind up, and look at that. Everything he's got behind every throw, but he gets the job done.
2-0, nobody on. And now is Eckstein having made the play, his first chance of the year. Here is Moises Alou. Right up the middle, and Moises Alou in his first at bat with his new team, the New York Mets, gets the Mets' first hit of the season.
Moises Alou is one of the best first ball fastball hitters ever to play the game. And it sounds simple, but a lot of guys can't hit that first pitch fastball because they haven't seen a pitch and they haven't seen the motion. First pitch fastball right back through the middle for a base hit.
And Moises, who did not have a very good spring, and he almost never has a very good spring. That's nothing new for him. But when you're 40 years old,
you're not trying to win a job. You're just getting ready for opening day.
People also get a little uptight about it. Here's Sean Green, another Mets veteran, 34 years old. And he takes a strike. He also had a very poor spring. Sean Green, 277 average last year, 15 home runs. His lowest home run total in 10 years. Curveball. That is a called strike. 0-2 the count.
Sean Green and Carlos Delgado have been very close friends, you know, when they played in Toronto together. And Sean Green had some of his best seasons, and people thought it was because of his, you know, being around Carlos Delgado. And they're hoping for that lightning to strike again this year with him being there for the entire season.
Now the curveball in the dirt. And that's 2-strike curveball. You want to bounce it in there, don't you?
Well, you want to try to get him to chase it, exactly. You do not want to throw a easy strike with it.
Sean Green took it. Sean Green's never had a hit against Chris Carpenter. He's only had 8 lifetime at bats, but he struck out in 4 of those at bats and is 0 for 8. Now the curveball. That is his first hit against Carpenter, just out of the reach of Eckstein. Digging for third and making it is Moises Alou, the 40-year-old Alou. Not only starting his Mets career with a base hit, he takes an extra base as if just to say, I'm 40, but I don't play like I'm 40.
A lot of excitement, a lot of adrenaline flowing on opening day, John. And I'm sure he doesn't feel like he's 40. He knows 2 outs, he's going all the way. It gets over the head of the shortstop Eckstein, and he just continues on to third, and he's in there safely.
Moises Alou at third, Sean Green at first. The 2 guys who had horrible springs are the first 2 Mets to get hits. in the regular season. Here's Valentin. Fastball inside for a ball. Valentin had a very fine season for the Mets last year. 18 homers, 62 batted in. And I don't think they were expecting him to play as much as he did, but he forced his way in there and they couldn't get him out of the lineup. That's a fastball to the inside. The other thing is, though, he's 37 years old. So they'll be keeping a close eye on him as well. Hitting 8th in the order here tonight. Pitcher Tom Glavine on deck. Chris Carpenter's got a little 2-out trouble here. Alou at third, Green at first. And too low.
I think Valentin last year, he's the reason that the Mets were as good as they were offensively. He was the guy that they stuck in there, and he contributed a lot offensively as well as defensively.
Willie Randolph, knowing his pitcher's on deck, what do you think, Joe? It'd be kind of tempting just to pitch around this guy with a base open. Right to Pujols, and the Gold Glover at first base for the National League last year handles it. That's it. 2 hits, 2 left for the Mets. Scott Rowland, Yadier Molina, Jim Edmonds coming up against Glavine when we get back. Tom Glavine on the hill for the New York Mets. On the right on ESPN2, opening night for Major League Baseball 2007. The Mets and the world champion Cardinals. Over on ESPN, meanwhile, in Cleveland, the women's NCAA Final Four, and Rutgers is taking on LSU right now. Rutgers has that game well in hand in the Final Four. So this is ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. You don't think we have that nickname for nothing, do you? There is ball 1 to Scott Rowland. Rowland, 296 last year, 22 homers, 95 batted in, and he was outstanding at the very end of the year. And he takes the ball down to the way, and I'm happy to report, Joe, as we mentioned yesterday in the civil rights game, he and Tony La Russa spoke at the beginning of spring training. Apparently they worked out all of their differences because they weren't speaking by the end of last year. Reyes from deep in the hole, got him. Now that is a shortstop's arm.
Well, so that's the difference between Eckstein and Reyes. Reyes has one of the strongest arms of any shortstop, and he can straighten up. Watch, he plants himself. He sets himself here to get ready to see. He sets himself. Boom. Now he fires across the diamond. Eckstein always has his body going toward first base to get more on the throw. That's what you call just using your arm, whereas Eckstein uses his body to help generate velocity. Reyes just uses his arm.
Now Yadier Molina. And Molina, who had one of the worst years with the bat of any regular player in all of baseball last year, and yet it was Molina in Game 7 who hit the home run that proved the difference, beating the Mets in a very tight, tense Game 7. A 2-run 9th inning homer, and by virtue of that, the Cardinals went to the World Series, and the Mets were finished. 2-0 the count to Molina. Center field, Beltran, plenty of room, and that is out number 2.
That's what Glavine does so well. He can pitch from behind. He was behind both Rowland and Molina, and he gets them both out. He jammed Rowland a little bit, and Reyes made a good play for him. Right there, Molina's 2-0. He's looking for a fastball, gets a little change, takes a little off, gets him to hit a fly ball to center field. He does not mind pitching from behind in the count.
Jim Edmonds now at the knees on the outside for a called strike. Jim Edmonds suffering from post-concussion syndrome, which still on occasion will cause him trouble. That is a called strike on the outside with a fastball under his 0-2.
That's usually associated with football players, right? Quarterbacks and so forth.
They've done a lot more research on it now. And, former teammate of Edmonds, the catcher Mike Matheny with the Giants the last couple of years, has now retired from baseball because of the post-concussion syndrome. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jim Edmonds.
Anytime he gets hit around the head, I mean, that's a serious matter.
Ball and 2 strikes, 2 down, nobody on. And strike 3 call. That is the inning. Tom Glavine looking awfully sharp. Vintage Glavine. Carpenter heading back to the hill to face Glavine.
ESPN Opening Day, built by the Home Depot. Brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. and the United States Postal Service. Now the post office comes to you with free package pickup.
Opening night from St. Louis, a sea of red as always for Cardinal games. And there is a fastball from Carpenter for a called strike to Tom Glavine. Chris Carpenter still the ace, leading things off for the Cardinal staff as Glavine bloops one in there, and he's got a base hit. The Mets' third hit of the game. Now you've got Carpenter out there, but other than the rookie Anthony Reyes, who came on during the season last year, it's an entirely different rotation than the one that was present and helped win the World Series a year ago. Last year they had guys like Jeff Suppan, who won 12 games, Jason Marquis, who's now a Cub, by the way, the arch rival. Mark Mulder had surgery. Sidney Ponson was an opening day starter last year. So only one of those guys from opening day a year ago remains. That's Carpenter. Reyes came in, as we said, during the season. So then Kip Wells was brought in. He finished last year with Texas. Braden Looper's always been a reliever. Now he's a starter. Wainwright was the closer at the end of last year. He's in the rotation, as well as Anthony Reyes. So the question is Jose Reyes fouls one away. Can the Mets, who have their own pitching problems, do to the Cardinals what the Cardinals did to them last year? Can the Cardinals exist without those three pitchers that helped them win last year? And Reyes chased one way up out of the zone. Strike three. One away. Peter Gammons on that subject. What do you think? Can the Cardinals win with all these new starters?
Well, John, I'm not sure the starters are going to be really the issue here. I mean, I think, obviously Wainwright and Wainwright has never won a game as a starter. Looper has never won a game as a starter. Wells is 15-30 over the last 3 years, but they all have pretty good stuff. They really believe Wainwright can be a #2 starter, win 15-16 games. What they think is that, they were in the second half in ERA and quality starts last year in the National League. They really believe that the starters will be all right, but the question is going to be Jason Isringhausen, who broke down in September. It's a left hip, right shoulder injury. As long as he holds up, they should be all right. But I asked Tony La Russa, what do you do if Isringhausen breaks down again? He said, I don't know.
That will be the question, although I feel like Adam Wainwright could do a pretty good job as closer.
Well, one of the players said if we could have Adam Wainwright as a starter and a closer, we'd be a pretty good team. Yeah. So, and I agree with that.
Paul LoDuca, the hitter, with a runner at first, one out, and it's 3-0 to LoDuca. All the big sluggers are up after LoDuca. Beltran on deck, then Delgado, right, Alou. No score here in the third.
Adam Wainwright is the one I believe in. I think he can be a starter because he told me he pitched 182 innings one year in the minor leagues. So that means that he can hold up under the stress of pitching a lot of innings. The other guy is Looper. You're not sure if he can go that long because he's been a closer, he's been a short man, and he's been a reliever. Reyes, the same thing. You're not sure if they can hold up for 120 plus innings a year or more.
Hit very slowly. Scott Rowland. He goes to second in time. Now that is not only a guy who is outstanding, but he already had that scenario played out in his mind before the ball was even a hit.
Well, the pitcher's running from first base, and he's aware that he has more time. If it's Reyes running, of course, he wouldn't have tried this. But with the pitcher, Glavine, running, he knows he has time.
And a 41-year-old pitcher at that.
I didn't want to say that, but a pitcher running.
Glavine, I think, would have been there a little more quickly years ago, Joe.
Yeah.
Here now is Beltran with LoDuca at first, and that's over the inside for a called strike. Beltran grounded out to second his first time. 41 homers last year. He'd like to bring back the base stealing part of his game this year. That ball is hammered deep, way back there. It is a foul ball. Out of here with plenty to spare, but just foul.
That was a hanging breaking ball, and that's why it hooked foul. He got a little bit out in front. It's a hanging breaking ball on the inner half, so that's how he got away with it. If that ball's 6 inches more out over the plate, it's probably a home run. But it's on the inner half of the plate, and he pulls it just foul down the right field line.
It wasn't foul by much. Look, that hit him. Came back with the fastball on the inside and drilled him just maybe on the shin beneath the knee. And that puts 2 men on for Delgado, the cleanup hitter. Beltran is a guy who has not had many hits against Carpenter, but he has touched him up for a couple of home runs in 20 previous at-bats, and he didn't miss by much, hitting yet another home run there a moment ago.
Well, he pointed to just on the outside of his right knee when he got to the first base.
He's there with Howard Johnson, former Mets third baseman, now first base coach for Willie Randolph. Here is Delgado. He flied out to right field his first time on a slow curveball. 38 home runs last year. Starts him with the curve. It's 0-1. 265 average. So he's not a high average hitter, but he is a complete slugger with enormous power.
What you like about Delgado, though, John, is even though he uses the whole field, even though he is a slugger.
Curveball. Yep. That one is hit well. Taguchi back. Can't get it. It's off the wall. Coming in to score is LoDuca. Here comes Beltran right behind him. He'll score easily. A double for the slugger. Delgado using the whole field, as you had just mentioned.
Well, that's what I like about him. I mean, he will go the other way. That was a breaking ball away, and he went the other way with it. Most sluggers will try to pull this pitch. There's a breaking ball away. He goes the other way with it. See, he doesn't try to pull it. He just extends the other way. And remember, the first at bat, I told you he slowed his bat speed just to make contact with him. That one, he didn't have to slow down. He just went out the other way. He wasn't fooled as much and drove it over the head of Taguchi and left.
Now David Wright to try and get him home. And Carpenter crossed up Yadier Molina, threw him a curveball, and Molina thought it was going to be something else. And he's lucky that that one didn't go right by him. He didn't catch that one. He just kind of punched at it. David Wright, a 300 average, home run hitter, big RBI producer. On the hands of the fastball. Pujols barehands it, and Carpenter covering. He won a Gold Glove last year, and the hand is not bad either. 2-0. The Mets are out in front after 2.5.
It rained hard this morning in Texas, delaying the start of the O'Reilly Spring Nationals. And so as a result, at 1 o'clock in the morning, we will have coverage of some of the semis and the finals themselves. So join us then.
So Taguchi with a knee-high fastball from Tom Glavine, strike one. And here come the Cardinals, trailing 2-0 to the Mets here in the last of the third. Taguchi hitting 7th in the order, Adam Kennedy behind him, and then Chris Carpenter. Change up too low from Tom Glavine. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cardinals, by the way, are without Juan Encarnacion, their right fielder last year, and he knocked in a lot of runs for them. That changeup right back to Glavine, and there is 1 away. Major League Baseball Productions will recognize one of the best baseball movies ever made, Barry Levinson's The Natural. Current Major League Baseball stars will reflect on and honor the film in various ways, proving that it is truly the unofficial baseball movie of choice for current big leaguers. Players, coaches, managers will discuss Roy Hobbs as played by Robert Redford. And that will be tonight at 11 Eastern on ESPN2, The Natural.
I wonder if they're critiquing his swing in the movie.
Well, it wasn't a bad swing, was it?
Does my silence say anything?
So for you, it wasn't the swing, it was all Wonder Boy, that
the bat, huh?
mythically created bat.
Yeah.
There's this 1 ball, 1 strike count to Adam Kennedy, his first at bat, coming back to the Cardinals after all those years with the Angels. And he won a World Series ring with the Angels, 2002. He is reunited here around second base with his former Angel teammate, David Eckstein. Adam Kennedy, 2-1 the count. That ball is hit into deep right center field. Beltran going back. That ball is up against the base of the wall. Kennedy. He's going to not stop at second. Heading for third. The relay. He's in there. And the ball gets past third and backed up by Glavine. A triple for Adam Kennedy.
Well, it was going to be a very close play at third base. Had the throw been accurate. But good hustle there by Kennedy. Never slowed down when he got to second base. It was supposed to be a fastball away. That fastball around the middle of the wall. The watch, he never slowed down, but by the time the throw comes in, watch, they've got a shot at him right there. If it's a good throw, they've got a shot at him, but the throw is offline and tough to handle for Wright.
Now Chris Carpenter, and that is ball 1 too high. They pulled in at the corners in the infield. You see right there at third base, pulled in tight, and Delgado doing the same at first. And the middle infielders are at second. It was Valentin who made that throw, by the way. Nice relay throw to Valentin by Beltran, and Valentin made a pivot like he was turning a double play to hurry that throw to third. So Adam Kennedy shows a little of that speed that he adds to this Cardinal lineup this year. He had 6 triples a year ago for the Angels. Carpenter takes a strike, a fastball to the inside.
Well, we all know that Tony La Russa loves to squeeze, and I don't know if he'll do it in this situation, but he loves to squeeze, and Carpenter, pretty good bunter.
There it comes, and that is a fair ball. So Kennedy took off on the squeeze, and the ball was butted right out in front of home plate. And I don't remember the last time I saw a squeeze work out like that.
I don't remember that either, John, because it was executed okay. I mean, Kennedy didn't leave too quickly, and Carpenter was there to bunt it, but it just not a good bunt. And he's a pretty good bunter. Look at that. It just stays right in fair territory, right in front of home plate. And all LoDuca has to do is pick it up and run him back to David Wright. I mean, they had a chance to make the play work. They picked the right pitch. You know, Tony La Russa has a way of doing that. He picked the right pitch, got a pitch to bunt. He just didn't execute it.
Well, Kennedy, as you say, if you leave too soon, they can hit the batter with a pitch, or they can pitch out. There are things they can do to keep the batter from bunting the ball, but he did not leave too soon. Usually if you get the bunt down to fair ground, it works, that you get the run home.
One of the things to remember, it's always easier to squeeze with a left-handed pitcher on the mound because his back is to third base and he's not looking at you when you take off. It's tougher for him to read a guy taking off from third base than it is for a right-handed pitcher.
Eckstein, the hitter. Eckstein is La Russa's favorite guy with which to execute the squeeze. He almost never fails to get that bunt down. Eckstein, who hit a single leading off the first inning, so he's 1 for 1. Carpenter is the runner at first, and that's off the outside.
Let's take a look, and you'll see Glavine can't see Adam Kennedy at third base. He couldn't see that he was sneaking off and taking off. But if you have a right-handed pitcher, once he starts his motion to the plate, he can see him out of the corner of his eyes.
Eckstein to left field. Moises Alou, and the inning is over. So Kennedy hit the 1-out triple, but they could not get him home. To the 4th inning, Moises Alou coming up against Carpenter. 2-0 Mets. ESPN2's opening night baseball is built by the Home Depot. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. Another Major League Baseball season underway. The world champion Cardinals trailing the Mets 2-0 as Fred Bird, the Redbird, is back again for another year here at Busch Stadium. And some Cardinal fans celebrate the opener in their own way. Alou hit that one hard, and that just kept going, and Edmonds had to move a little bit more than maybe he originally thought he would to catch it.
Another first pitch fastball. If you throw him 4 first pitch fastballs tonight, we're going to see 4 hard hit balls. I mean, he is, like I say, one of the best ever at first pitch fastball hitting.
And Lou hit a single to center for the first hit of the game for the Mets in the second inning, and now a line drive out on the first pitch. Here is Sean Green, and that's too low for ball one. By the way, the two pitchers tonight, and we've talked about the fact that they're great pitchers. Carpenter for the Cardinals, Glavine for the Mets. That's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. But it's been their at-bats that have helped create the difference in this game. Tom Glavine led off the third inning with a single for the Mets. That started a 2-run rally. And then Carpenter, with a runner at third and 1 out, was asked to lay down a suicide squeeze bunt. But the bunt was lacking. You can't bunt it 3 inches out in front of home plate for it to work. That's into the hole and off the glove with the diving Eckstein. He was pulled over toward the middle, playing Green to pull. Green with a big turn at first, and Taguchi hurries the ball back in to hold him to a single. 2-0 Mets. And on hit this ball over the head of Taguchi in left field and off the wall, and that brought home LoDuca, and all the way from first, Beltran came around to score a 2-run double for Delgado, and the Mets lead 2-0. Now Green is at first, and here is Jose Valentin. Apparently we've had some audio problems at times, and that ball is hit hard into right field. A base hit for Valentin. Heading for third is Green. The throw comes in from Wilson to the second baseman Kennedy, and the Mets have runners at first and third. So we apologize for that. We have technicians feverishly working to rectify any audio problems we've been having, and we certainly apologize for that.
They haven't been hearing our conversation.
What's that?
They have not been hearing us.
Yeah, speak up. Apparently it's not a technical thing. You're just mumbling over there,
Okay.
Joe.
John, I wanted to point out, that's a great example of what Willie Randolph brought to the Mets. First to third, guys hustling all the time. That's something that they weren't doing before Willie Randolph came to this ball club.
Here's Tom Glavine. Glavine is an excellent bunter, by the way. Not the suicide there. He was in a first and third situation. Even with 1 out, you'll often see them just try to bunt the runner from first up.
But if you're at third base, Sean Green is a pretty good base runner. If he bunts the ball, say, past the pitcher, then he could come in to score. I mean, it's a safety squeeze more than anything else. He's just trying to bunt him over, as you said, but it can become a safety squeeze, which puts all the pressure on the base runner to decide whether to go or not.
What about a suicide squeeze here if you're Willie Randolph? Oh. He squares the bunt, takes low. 2-0.
One of the things you can do here, John, and I don't think Willie will do it here, and I'll tell you why. Because I think Jose Reyes has become a very good hitter, RBI man, etc. He does everything. But if you are going to do it, watch Scott Rowland is rushing in, so you're not really a squeeze. You just go as far as he goes.
That is easily going to move up Valentin to second. Covering at first, Adam Kennedy. As Molina throws out Glavine, and now Green still at third, Valentin over to second, and here comes Reyes with 2 men in scoring position. What we call scoring position.
Correct.
A base hit to the outfield should usually get not only the runner from third home, but the runner from second home.
I think you're Reyes, you sit here, you look first pitch fastball.
Almost a wild pitch.
But that works in your favor because now you can kind of look for a pitch. Carpenter's basically a fastball, curveball, and he's added a changeup to his repertoire. But I think right now, if you're Reyes, he missed with the curveball, you go ahead and look for the fastball. Even if he throws your curveball, go ahead and take it. But he may pitch him carefully because first base is open.
Reyes is 0 for 2 tonight.
Yeah.
Here's the curve. He's looking pretty careful right now.
Right.
2-0.
Well, you got Paul LoDuca, a right-handed hitter, coming up next. And Reyes is an explosive hitter. I mean, he can get the ball out of the ballpark. LoDuca's not going to hurt you that many times during the year with a home run, but Reyes definitely can.
In the dirt.
Yeah.
I think that was a changeup.
Yeah, it was. And I think he's just pitching him around him. And if you're the Cardinals here, you may want to just go ahead and walk him if that was your idea of pitching around him, because Willie Randolph may give him the green light.
He's a fastball pitcher, and he has not yet thrown a fastball here to Reyes, which gives you a pretty good idea of his intentions. Runners at second and third. Now a fastball on the outside for a strike, 3-1.
But that was not your 3-0 pitch that you should hit. That ball was tailing away and caught the outside corner. 3-0, you have to have something in the middle of the plate that you can drive.
Reyes gets the walk.
Changeup.
And you mentioned, Joe, that Reyes, even though he's a leadoff man, has become a very fine RBI man. He had 81 RBIs
and 19 home runs. I mean, that's what I mean. He is the guy. That's why I didn't think they would squeeze, because they wanted to give him a chance to get up. There's the first pitch. Second pitch, curveball inside, changeup for 3-0. Now he throws a fastball that you see it. Well, it touches the outside edge, and he misses with another one.
Bases loaded with 2 down, and here is LoDuca. Again, as you see the 3 runners, Green, Valentine, and Reyes from third back to first. This is where LoDuca can be awfully tough, though, because he almost always makes contact.
He will force you to make a play.
He's had a .351 average in his career with the bases loaded, and he was very tough last year with runners in scoring position. 2-0, the Mets already leading, and that is ball 2. So Carpenter really struggling here, and the ball's not going where he wants it to go. 2-0 the count. By the way, we will be visiting with Mets manager Willie Randolph live from the dugout after this Mets half inning. Carpenter's thrown 63 pitches already, and we're in the 4th inning. Green, Valentine, and Reyes the runners. 2-0. Fastball to strike. 2-1 now. This crowd very tense, knowing that these might be key pitches for the game. The Mets with a chance here to open up a nice early lead for Glavine. We're only in the 4th, but after LoDuca, they got the big hitters out. Fouled it off his foot. Now it's 2-2.
So, John, those last 2 pitches, that's the reason I never like to see a guy when he gets the bases loaded and he gets a 2-0 pitch and he takes one down the middle to make the pitcher throw one. Because that pitch was a good pitch to hit. Now he comes back with a good sinking fastball, which is not a good easy pitch to hit, and now it's a 2-2 count. You gave him a chance to get back into this at bat when you had him on the ropes.
And now LoDuca will have to swing at anything close. 2 strikes, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bases loaded. Curveball to right field, twisting foul and back out of play. 2-2.
The one thing I've noticed over the years about hitters, the really good hitters, if they get you in the hole, they don't let you get back even by taking a pitch. They may foul it off or whatever, but they will not take a pitch when they're in control of the at-bat. 2-0.
Green at third, Valentine at second. There's Reyes at first. They'll all be running at the crack of the bat with 2 down. LoDuca backs away, tired of waiting for Carpenter, who's taking a lot of time here between pitches.
So the difference is LoDuca's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. You know, as you mentioned, he puts the ball in play.
Tough to strike out. That is too low. 3-2. And the Cardinals, with Glavine out there, they really don't want to fall much further behind than they already are. So this is a huge pitch coming up. Tony La Russa looks on.
Reyes will get a running start at first base as well. He can score on anything.
There they go. Right up the middle. Base hit. Green scores. Valentine right behind him, and Reyes easily into third. And Paul LoDuca, that's exactly why he is so dangerous in a spot like that. He's going to put the ball in play almost invariably. A 2-run single, 4-0 Mets.
Great job there by LoDuca. He got him to a 3-2 count. Didn't try to do too much with it. Just hit it right back through the middle. Look at this. Good pitch there by Carpenter. It's knee high and away, but he just tries to go right back through the middle. He doesn't try to pull it. It's actually a sinking fastball, and he just hits it right back through the middle. And you can see Carpenter falls off to the first base side, and he did not have a chance to make a play on that. And most power pitchers or guys that throw really good breaking balls or like that, they will fall off to the first base side or the third base side if they're left-handed.
Pitching coach Dave Duncan, having visited with Carpenter at the mound, back to the dugout. And there is Reyes now at third with LoDuca over at first. And 2 runs are in. They've had two out RBI hits in this game for their 4 runs. Strike to Beltran, the switch hitter, who has grounded out and been hit by a pitch. 41 homers last year. Each of the next 3 hitters all hit a lot of homers and a lot of RBIs, over 100 RBIs for all 3 of them. Just missing on the inside with that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. 70 pitches thrown for Carpenter already, only in the 4th inning of this game. And this Mets lineup is a meat grinder.
Yeah, definitely.
Right up the middle. That's a base hit. Reyes comes in to score. LoDuca will stop at second. Another 2-out RBI hit for the Mets, and they lead 5-0.
You know, we've talked a lot of people talk about the fact the Mets pitching staff is a little, in disarray. As we take a look at this pitch, it looked like a fastball up a little bit. Fastball up, I think that's what it would look like to me, in the middle of the plate. Actually moving away, starts in the middle and moving away, but it was up. And you can see right back through the middle. And again, Carpenter falling off to the first base side could not feel the line drive.
And the bullpen is going now for the Cardinals. Josh Hancock, a right-hander, has started to throw. Delgado, who knocked in the first 2 runs in the 3rd inning with a 2-out double, at the plate with a chance to drive in still more. And of course, driving in runs, that's what he gets paid for.
And the one thing to remember about the Mets, the pitching may be in disarray, but this lineup is not. They will score some runs for you.
Willie Randolph likes what he sees right now. Wow, a wild swing at that curveball. It bounced in there. Strike 2.
That's one of those pitches where you're looking for a curveball. You read it out front, the spin on it, and you swing at it anyway. You're just looking curveball, and you swing at it. Occasionally, you see a guy looking fastball, and it can be head high, and he still swings at it. I think Delgado figured he's going to throw me a curveball.
Molina drops aside. Carpenter's 27th pitch of this inning. Playing him up the middle that time was Eckstein, and he throws him out to end the inning. 8 men bat, 3 score. When we come back in 60 seconds, we'll visit with Willie Randolph from the Mets dugout. Mets 5, Cardinals nothing. Back with Willie after this. Major League Baseball's opening night from Busch Stadium, St. Louis. The world champion Cardinals trailing the Mets 5-0. We're very pleased to be joined now from the Mets dugout by manager Willie Randolph. Welcome, Willie.
Hey, guys.
Hey, man, it's Joe. I want to say, first, I want to say you did a fabulous job last year from start to finish. I just want to get that off my mind.
Thank you.
Now, I want to ask you, there was a lot of talk this winter. There was a lot of talk this spring about moving David Wright to second. Why, or what happened there?
Well, I just wanted to see how it looked there. I mean, I was just kind of experimenting a little bit. We didn't have a lot of continuity in our lineup this spring because a lot of guys were in and out. But I just want to see how he looked there. I think David's a hitter who's flexible and with on-base percentage and good eye. I think he can be a good spot there every once in a while.
With Tom Glavine, he's your ace.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, he's my ace, and he's pitching like an ace so far tonight.
What about Pedro?
Well, Pedro looking good, Joe. I spoke to him a couple days ago, and he's in great shape, working hard, and I'm hoping to have him back sooner than later, hopefully near the All-Star break. Wishful thinking, but, we'll see what happens.
All right. Thanks a lot, Willie.
Okay, guys.
Talk
take care.
to you.
Willie Randolph. We always appreciate when the manager comes on with us from the dugout during the ball game. 0-1 the count to Preston Wilson facing Glavine, and that ball is a foul off the left field line, well back out of play into that sea of Cardinal red. 0-2. That's a pretty good spot to watch a game right there.
Yeah, John, I want to go on record also as saying that Willie's done a good job so far this year.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Best I've seen this year. Glavine down and away. A ball and 2 strikes to Wilson, who hit a double play ball his first time. He got Albert Pujols on deck. Rick Peterson alongside Willie, the Mets veteran pitching coach. There's Pujols on deck. Change up in the dirt. 2-2. By the way, after the Cardinals half inning, Tony La Russa will join us from the Cardinal dugout. It's always easier to talk to the manager who's ahead when we're talking to managers.
Yeah.
Change up in the dirt. 3-2. Now he's got to get a pitch to hit here, Joe, with Albert Pujols on deck and a 5-run lead.
Well, you would think so, but over the years, Glavine has always tried to make his pitch. It doesn't matter to him what the count is.
He can't walk him. I'm not allowing it. 3-2.
He didn't, but he still threw him a changeup. So he still makes his pitch. He's not going to change, you know, his pattern just because Pujols is on deck. And that works in his favor sometimes because, you know, the hitter's thinking that way too, John. Pujols is next. He's going to give me a fastball down the middle. And what does he do? He throws him a changeup.
Preston Wilson got to be thinking, well, what good is it going to do hitting in front of Albert if it's not going to get me a pitch to hit? Here's Pujols, and that spins in there for a called strike. Albert flied out to right center his first time. 1 out, nobody on. Rolling on deck. The power is up right now for the Cardinals. They trail 5-0. Curveball too low and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Albert Pujols, as we mentioned, is the only home run he's ever hit against Glavine was in the postseason last year. I guess all the hits he's had against Glavine just figured, well, if I keep in the yard, I win. Fastball low and inside. And it is 2-1. Two balls and a strike to count. Nice. Inside corner, knee high, 2-2. Albert Pujols had a single and a homer yesterday in the civil rights game in Memphis, but didn't do much hitting in the spring. There's David Wright at third. And Pujols is out. 2 men gone as Glavine is shut down Pujols. You've shut down just about all of the Cardinals so far, including Scott Rowland is coming up next. Now you asked Tony, or rather Willie Randolph, about Pedro Martinez. Peter Gammons, what about Pedro? Willie thinks he could be back as early as after the All-Star game.
Well, John, it amazes me that almost everyone around the Mets believes that. They believe very strong. He doesn't have the foot problems. He doesn't have the knee problems. He's cleared up most of his problems in his shoulder. He's in great shape, and they really believe that he's going to be able to come back. And
what about you?
I believe it. You know, and I think one of the things that's most important to understand about Pedro is he can come back throwing 83 to 89 instead of 93 and still win.
That ball into left center by Rowland, and plenty of room out there for Moises Alou, and the inning is over. Tony La Russa will be visiting with us from the Cardinal dugout when we return in 60 seconds. 5-0 Mets at the end of 4. Back with Tony La Russa in 60. Major League Baseball, produced by ESPN. Tonight seen on ESPN 2 HD in high definition. Presented by Olivia. Tony La Russa, manager of the Cardinals, won a World Series last year. 3rd highest win total of all managers in the history of the game. Tony, many thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, Tony, what do we see from Carpenter tonight? Why is he struggling a little bit?
Well, I think one thing, Joe, sometimes you got to give the other side credit. You know, they've got good hitters, and they're laying off some nasty pitches and getting balls over the middle of the plate. He got a couple curveballs up that 2-run inning that hurt him. But I just think you give them credit.
All right, what about your rotation? Are you comfortable with it going into the season?
Yeah, they all have good arms. So, I mean, talent is there. They're working in spring training. They got everything they're supposed to do to get ready. And I think they're going to be a real force.
All right, Tony, good luck to you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Many thanks to Tony La Russa for coming on with us from the Cardinal dugout.
I think that was a great point that Tony made. You know, we're talking about the lineup that Mets have, and they are a good hitting lineup.
This is David Wright, one of those outstanding hitters you're talking about, and he takes a strike on the outside from Carpenter.
And one thing Tony was saying is that, you know, they were laying off some tough pitches.
Curveball too low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wright has grounded out twice in this game. 5-0. The Mets are leading the Cardinals in the 5th inning. And that's too low. 2 balls and a strike. Moises Alou on deck, and then Sean Green. And that is off the outside. So the count now 3-1 to David Wright. Carpenter. And he doesn't look as sharp as we're used to seeing, and that's for sure. That ball is hooked right to the left side for a base hit to left. So David Wright has his first hit of the game and of the season. And that is 9 hits total now for the New York Mets, and the batter will be Moises Alou. Tony La Russa was in the headlines during spring training, and I think it was very embarrassing for Tony. He was not in the headlines the way he would like to be, as he was arrested for an alleged DUI in Florida. He was allegedly found asleep at the wheel of his vehicle in the middle of the night at a red light. Tony has apologized numerous times about that, and that was back in the spring. La Russa began as a manager with the White Sox all the way back in 1979, and was many years there. Helped the White Sox win a division title in 1983. They had the most wins in the American League. Then went to Oakland and had a great run of success with the Oakland Athletics, and then with the Cardinals. Been here many years as well. And Alou pounds that one foul down off his foot or his ankle. 0-1 the count. Cardinal bullpen is busy now. The left-hander Tyler Johnson has gotten up. 5-0. The Mets are leading the Cardinals here in the 5th inning. Moises Alou, who had a lot of injury problems with the Giants last year, only played around 100 games, still hit well, hit over 300, hit the long ball as you expect. And the thing was, as you mentioned, Joe, he's one of the great fastball hitters around, and that bat speed showed no signs of slowing down whatsoever last year. He was talking about, because of all the injury problems, maybe he would retire, but how can you retire if you can still swing the bat the way he does? Check swing and a curve. No swing. 1-2.
Here's a look for our Nationwide K-Zone presented by Nationwide.
Curveball, 74 miles an hour, down and away. And Alou swings and misses. Strike 3.
The pitch before was an illustration of what La Russa was talking about, laying off the tough pitches. The curveball the pitch before was very close, and Alou was able to lay off of it. But Carpenter was able to come back with a beautiful curveball. And you can see the bottom fell out of that because when he crossed the plate, it was in the strike zone, and he caught it just above the dirt in the back.
And that was the hammer. Here's Sean Green. First base. Pujols to second. 1. Eckstein back to first. And Sean Green, too quick. Is safe at first. Wright forced out at second. So 2 men are gone here in the Mets' 5th inning.
Well, Albert Pujols has worked very hard. Remember, he was a third baseman at first. Now he's taken to first base, and he won a Gold Glove last year. I mean, he has become very comfortable playing first base. He seems to make all the plays. He comes forward to get this ball, gets out of the line of the runner, makes a good throw to second, and he tries to get back, but there was no chance for a double play there. But he feels very comfortable at first base now.
Here's Jose Valentin, who has grounded out and singled and scored a run. 2 down runner at first in the 5th inning. The Mets lead the Cardinals here on opening night in St. Louis, 5-0. Came back and got the inside corner with that one. And the count 1 ball, 1 strike. It's interesting, Pujols, there are guys who burst upon the scene who were outstanding hitters and outstanding defensive players. But I think it's a much smaller list of guys who are great hitters early on and who then became a great defensive player. Now, you mentioned, Joe, 2001 when he came in. Played some third, played the outfield, played some first. He was all over the place. And still in 2002, And even in 2003. That is a curveball that's hit foul past first. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Valentine. Glavine, the pitcher, would be next. At first base, as a full-timer in 2005, he made 14 errors, and he was rough around the edges defensively. Last year, cut the errors more than in half and won a Gold Glove. And the curveball strikes out Valentine. Another sharp breaking hammer that ended up in the dirt. Molina, then Jim Edmonds to bat for the Cardinals, who were down 5-0. Opening night in St. Louis. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. Very pleased to be with you on this beautiful night in St. Louis. The Cardinals, though, are trailing the New York Mets 5-0. Tom Glavine delivering ball 1 to Yadier Molina. Cardinals hurting a little bit without Encarnacion in the lineup, and with Jim Edmonds not being himself yet. He did not get many at-bats in spring training, coming back from the concussion and the various ailments which plagued him. And so they're a little bit thin right now, Joe, in the middle of that lineup, as evidenced by the fact that Molina, who hit .216 last year, is hitting 5th, but he gets a base hit this time. Runner at first, nobody out. Let's go to John Buccigross with a SportsCenter 30 and 30 update.
Thank you, John. This is not video of you and Joe going to Busch Stadium today. That's Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon trading metal, and it's Jimmy Johnson who narrowly wins at Martinsville. And 1 game down, 1 to go. Women's Final Four in Cleveland. Rutgers defeats LSU. They'll play the winner of North Carolina and Tennessee on ESPN right now. Back to you guys.
Thanks, John. And Tom Glavine back to work to Jim Edmonds. Edmonds called out on strikes his first time, and he takes ball 1. By the way, we don't drive cars like that, the NASCAR. However, driving over here with Joe before the game, Joe does drive like some of those drivers. 1 ball and no strikes. That's not true either. You're a very safe driver.
Safe driver.
Yeah. In fact, it's just the opposite. Very slow driver. 1 ball and 1 strike.
John, you were talking about, the injuries, Encarnacion not here, Jim Edmonds. I really believe for the Cardinals to repeat, Albert Pujols is going to have to be better than he's ever been. I think there's going to be more and more pressure on him to succeed because a lot of these guys are injured, and they're not going to give him as many opportunities to drive in runs as he did before, so it's going to put a little more pressure on him. But I really believe that the Cardinals are going to be in the race all the way. But it's not going to be the same Cardinals team we had before. Scott Rowland's going to have to turn around and have a great year to help Pujols. But I think without those 2 guys, it's going to be very difficult for them to win the division again.
And Rowland is capable of that.
Definitely.
He's had great years in the past.
All he has to do is stay healthy.
Edmonds has had great years.
All he has to do is stay healthy. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case the last couple of years for Edmonds or Rowland.
So Rowland sitting in the dugout there. Edmonds at the plate. 2-2 the count from Glavine. And he changed up on him, a pop-up, and that one will just make it back out of play as Wright came over. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Let's take a look at Tom Glavine. I mean, he doesn't mind pitching from behind in the count. I mean, he'll get behind 2-0. Here's a 3-1 pitch to Albert Pujols. Watch this. Change up away, gets him out. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Rowland. Change up away, gets him out. 2-0 to Yadier Molina. He gets him out on the change up fly ball. See, he doesn't mind pitching from behind in the count.
The shortstop, Reyes, hustles over. He get 1 at second, back to first. 2, a double play.
I mean, we're talking about Reyes, how good he is, but I tell you what, Valentine is turning the double play very well tonight, too. I mean, I watched him last year, and I was surprised at how well he was able to turn the double play. This is not an easy double play. Nice play by Reyes, charged it, gets it over to second, perfect throw, and he gets rid of it quickly before the runner can get there. Look at that, Reyes, perfect throw. You can't make it any better than that.
A thing of beauty.
Yes.
A well-turned double play. That was one of the most exciting approaches to a double play grounder by Reyes that you'll ever see.
I said he's the most exciting player in the game because everything he does is exciting. I mean, even when he's just standing out there, he looks like he's ready to explode. He's a good player.
When's the last time you saw an infielder go for a ground ball and he sprinted after it?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. A lot of times we see guys wait on the ball now, but that was a double play situation. He charged it, came and got it, and made a double play.
He got there in a hurry. Right back to Glavine. So Taguchi, for the second time in a row, hits a changeup right back to Glavine. Glavine is dazzling them right now. Jose Reyes, beautiful double play started. 5-0.
ESPN Opening Day, built by the Home Depot. Brought to you by Dell. Business solutions designed with one company in mind, yours. Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. And Right Guard Sport. Powerful odor and wetness protection. Never get caught off guard.
And there's ball one from Chris Carpenter to Tom Glavine. Glavine, who started a 2-run rally in the third with a single to left, laid down a sacrifice bunt in the fourth as part of a 3-run rally. So he's doing it all here tonight. He's a great all-round athlete. The pride of Billerica, Massachusetts. Tom Glavine. He was a great Red Sox fan growing up. Although not a fan of Red Sox pitchers, he loved Fred Lynn. When they played baseball in his neighborhood, he was a center fielder hitting home runs. And when he played hockey, he was the Wayne Gretzky guy, scoring all the goals.
Well, I was a Fred Lynn fan too, though.
It was hard not to be a fan.
Exactly.
Of Fred Lynn. 3-1 now to Tom Glavine. Glavine, who has won 4 Silver Slugger awards, which is generally given to the best hitter at a position. He's had 233 career hits. He had almost as many hits as he's had wins. Right back to Carpenter, who tosses it over to Pujols for the out. 1 away. Now Peter Gammons is from New England, so he knows the stock from which Tom Glavine comes.
Well, John, he's always been so remarkable at making adjustments. I mean, and when you think about where he is, I mean, there are only 4 left-handed pitchers in history have won more games than Spahn and Carlton and Plank and Grove. But his ability to adjust with the Mets has kept his career really moving very well. I mean, he started throwing the curveball a lot more last year, started throwing the fastball in a lot more, and he started doing what his friend Greg Maddux did, throwing changeups in. And Joe, as you know, I mean, hitters are not geared to thinking changeup inside. They see the arm speed, they see the ball inside, they think fastball, and as Maddux says, you got to pop up or swing and a miss.
Being honest with you, Peter, I think that works better when it's a good hitter at the plate, because he sees the ball inside and he wants to react to it. You know, sometimes they try to keep the changeup away from an average hitter because he doesn't have the same bat speed.
Reyes into shallow left field, and Taguchi drops the ball. And Reyes didn't even know about it. Reyes had his head down, coming around first base, thinking, man, I didn't get a hit again. And in fact, he didn't get a hit, but he is aboard.
I guarantee the lights had to have something to do with that, because I really believe in Taguchi as an outfielder. I mean, I've seen him make some fabulous plays. He's jammed. This ball's a flare. He comes running in. Well, it looked like he was leaning off to the side to look away from the lights. Let's see right there. See, you can see him. Yeah, he wasn't looking. He didn't see it all the way into his glove.
See, Reyes turned his head from the play, like, doggone it. Wait a minute. So here now is LoDuca. Now you've got one of the great base stealers in the game today, Jose Reyes. Not as much base stealing going on in baseball now in this era of the big home run hitters as there was a few years back. But Reyes he's a throwback to the Vince Colemans and the Ricky Hendersons. And
I don't think he could have gotten a second. I want to add that on that play right there. I think it was a single anyway. I mean,
if he had his head up, he still would have been first.
Yeah, he would have stayed at first.
But he could be at second here in another moment.
Right, but you're right. I mean, he is a throwback. The guys can steal 60, 70 bases. And that 79% is very good.
Now,
a lot of guys look for 3 out of 4. That's almost 4 out of 5.
Cardinals are one of the toughest teams against which to steal in the National League. Carpenter is usually pretty good at getting the ball quickly to the catcher. Molina is a weapon behind the plate. Quick release and a strong arm.
Well, with a 5-0 lead, I'm not sure that he would go anyway. And that doesn't mean that it's too much of a lead, lead to run. It just really means that you want to save yourself. You don't want to risk, getting injured or whatever, because stealing the base is a dangerous play.
That's coming from the man who stole 689 of them. That is caught, and that is going to be a double play. Reyes took off, but the ball never hit the ground. Kennedy reached down to grab it just above his shoe. A double play to end the inning. Adam Kennedy will be coming up when we return. 5-0 Mets. Back in St. Louis, where the Mets lead the Cardinals 5-0 as we head to the last of the 6th inning. And 2007 marks the 60th anniversary of Jackie Robinson's first game and first season in the big leagues. 1947, as he broke the color line. He came in at a time when African-American players were not allowed in Major League Baseball. Here is Adam Kennedy, who hit a triple against Tom Glavine. About the only guy who's made hard contact against Glavine so far.
I'm looking forward to April 15th game because that's the 60th anniversary day of his first game. So that'll be great for us to commemorate that. And we'll be in Dodger Stadium.
The Dodgers, of course, were Jackie Robinson's team, the Brooklyn Dodgers, breaking in with Brooklyn back in 1947, 60 years ago. April 15th was opening day that year, and Jackie Robinson made a great impact right away. 1947, not only made his debut, but he went on to win the Rookie of the Year that year. 2 years later, he was the National League MVP. 1955, he helped the Dodgers win their first World Series championship after being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Jackie Robinson passed away much too soon. His number was retired by the Commissioner of Baseball unilaterally all around baseball on the 50th anniversary of his debut in a game the Dodgers played at Shea Stadium, which you and I covered, Joe, on ESPN in 1997. Moises Alou with a diving catch. And Adam Kennedy robbed of a hit by the ancient one, the 40-year-old Moises Alou.
Well, you know, when you play this game, John, you do not. You just play the game. And that's what you see here. Moises Alou, he's not thinking about how old he is. He's just playing baseball, something he loves to do, and he makes a play. And it would have been easier with a 5-0 lead to let that drop and hold him to a single.
Here is Skip Schumacher, and that's too high from Tom Glavine. Schumacher, the pinch hitter for Chris Carpenter. One out here in the 6th inning. The Cardinals have only 3 hits against Glavine. And that's off the outside. 2-0. In the Cardinal bullpen, Tyler Johnson, a left-hander, getting ready. So we'll apparently see him come the 7th inning. And the Mets will have their big sluggers coming up. Beltran, Delgado, Wright. That is a called strike. You know, it's interesting, Glavine, we were talking about Glavine being from the Boston area, and his dad was a great baseball fan, and he kept talking about Tom Glavine, even when Glavine broke into the big leagues with Atlanta, and he said, you know, the greatest left-hander of all time started with the Boston Braves. Warren Spahn, 363 wins. Well, here's Tom Glavine all these years later. He's got 290 wins and counting. And that's a base hit for Schumacher, a pinch hit single to left. So I think his dad, who may be looking in tonight in Billerica, Massachusetts, maybe cutting Tom a little more slack nowadays. He is a pretty good one of the best.
John, we're often there. You see Steve Carlton, Plank, Grove, Glavine, and of course Warren Spahn at the head of that class.
He's 5th on the all-time list of wins by a left-handed pitcher. On the all-time list, lefties and righties together, Tom Glavine is number 24. Spahn was 6th all-time.
And to put that in the proper perspective, you remember now, in this day and age, everyone goes every 5th day. Warren Spahn and most of those pitchers pitched on 4 days rest, so they had more starts, 3 days rest, I'm sorry. So they had more starts per season to gain those victories. And right now, it's very difficult when we see guys come up with 20 wins in a season because they're going every 5th day. I saw the great Bob Gibson in Tony La Russa's office before the game, and he informed me that he was on a 5-man rotation. I mean, 5th day. He was pitching every 5th day. He wasn't one of those guys that pitched every 4th day. And he told me, he said it was very difficult for him to win 20 games because he said I was only getting 30, 31 starts. He said when we'd have a rain out, they wouldn't skip the other guy. I would just have an extra day. And I found that interesting.
David Eckstein down the left field line. Pretty good hitting by Eckstein there. Schumacher to 3rd. They're going to wave him home. The relay over the head of Reyes from Alou. And a run-scoring double for David Eckstein. 5-1 Mets.
Well, they tried to go inside on Eckstein again, and Eckstein was waiting for it. Although the target's not inside, the target's middle of the plate. He throws it pretty much middle of the plate.
Eckstein gets the barrel out front and pulls it down the left field line. And Schumacher scored all the way from first base. And it's now a 5-1 lead.
Here's Preston Wilson. Right up the middle. That's a base hit. Eckstein around third. Oquendo waves him home. The throw there, and he is out at the plate.
Man.
Beltran had it waiting in the glove of LoDuca as Eckstein arrived. Wilson going to second. Aggressive coaching there from third by Oquendo with his club down, and Beltran did not make it a good play.
You know what's funny, John, is normally they don't throw to the plate on this. You have a lead, you kind of hold the guy at first base, but an excellent throw by Beltran and a nice tag there by LoDuca, who's waiting for Eckstein. And that turns out to be a poor play, sending the guy from third with a 4-run deficit.
He had 13 assists in the outfield last year. Beltran, he is one of the outstanding all-around players in the game.
Correct.
He's a Gold Glove quality outfielder, strong arm, home run hitter, can steal bases. Carlos Beltran. And I tell you that you made an excellent point, though, because when you have the big lead, you want to stay out of the big inning.
Yeah.
And that's a very bad play by Beltran if he does not throw out Eckstein.
Because Wilson went to second base, which takes the double play, you know, opportunity away. But he made the play, so it's right.
So here's Albert Pujols. And Cardinal fans are kind of subdued right now. They'd like to see Albert up here with 2 men on base, down by 4 runs instead of just 1. Off the inside to Pujols. It's 3-0. Pujols has been handled by Glavine tonight. He's flied out to right center, grounded out to third. Has not hit the ball hard yet. The Cardinals with 3 consecutive hits here. Schumacher, Eckstein, and Wilson. At the knees for a strike. 3-1.
I know it's a 5-1 lead, but I'm still a little surprised that they made him take that pitch. There you see the Mets bullpen.
Aaron Seeley. And that's not Seeley, by the way. That is Joe Smith, the right-hander, the side armor. And Pedro Feliciano, the left-hander. A changeup. No swing, apparently. Albert Pujols. And LoDuca didn't ask for an appeal. So that's ball 4, and here comes Scott Rowland. And Rowland has a chance to do some serious damage.
Maybe they didn't want to have to throw another pitch to him.
Yeah, he's got to walk good.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Now Rick Peterson's going to go to the mound. This is the first time tonight that Glavine has started to falter, Joe. And, you know, you look back to the start of this inning as you see Smith, the right-hander, Feliciano, the left-hander, in the bullpen. The start of the inning, the great catch by Moises Alou. There might not be anybody out yet.
Correct.
As it is, they've got the catch by Alou and the great throw to home by Beltran, and there are 2 men out with 2 men on. But the Cardinal cleanup hitter, Rowland, a very dangerous, powerful hitter coming up.
And you know, one thing to point out here is, remember, we're just coming out of spring training. This is the opening day start. You know, Glavine hasn't pitched a 9-inning ball game in spring training all year. So, I mean, he could be just running out of gas a little bit. Ball getting up. The last pitch to Preston Wilson was up. Pitches to Pujols were up.
Glavine, by the way, as Cardinal fans are dreaming of a comeback, but he has never lost a game in which he had a 5-run lead or more. Rowland, first ball swinging, bounces it foul. And it is 0-1. 135 wins and no losses in games where he had at least a 5-run lead.
Well, you know, statistics can say a lot. I mean, I don't want to rain on that parade a little bit, but if you have a 5-run lead, they're not going to let you sit out there and give up 6 runs. So, you know,
curveball, and Rowland taps that one foul. But the point is,
yeah, that he does a good job.
There might have even been some losses in there.
Yeah.
That the bullpen lost. He didn't get the loss, but
exactly.
Doesn't mean that he always won
the game, because you can't. But because they definitely won't leave you out there. They won't leave him out there today to give up 6 runs. So that 135-0 will still be on record.
Bullpen is getting ready. Glavine has thrown 85 pitches in this one. And that one hits Scott Rowland. And now the bases are loaded.
Well, that wasn't a close pitch. I don't know exactly what he was trying to do, because that pitch wasn't even close. Let's take a look at the nationwide K zone. Now this pitch is not close. I mean, it's behind him. He couldn't get out of the way. I don't know what Glavine was trying to do. Obviously, he wasn't trying to hit him, but I don't know if he was trying to throw a cutter or something else on the inside part of the plate.
You can see the frustration for Tom Glavine. But now in the 5th spot for the Cardinals, it's not Edmonds, it's not Encarnacion, it's Yadier Molina. But he was a great star with the bat in the postseason last year. At the knees, that's a strike. And Molina has a hit tonight. A single to center. He's also flied out. But this is the Cardinals' best shot to get back into it now. 5-1 Mets. The bases are loaded with 2 down. Wilson, Pujols, and Roland from 3rd back to 1st. Yadier Molina trying to come through in the clutch as the 5th place hitter. Too low. Glavine's 88th pitch of the game. In this inning, he's faced 6 hitters, and he's only retired 1 of them. And the one man he retired was on a great catch by Moises Alou. There was another base runner thrown out by Beltran, which was a big assist. That's a bloop, but there is Reyes. He gets there. A broken bat, and Reyes tracked it down. And the Cardinals, after all of that, get just the 1. On to the 7th. Beltran, Delgado, and Wright, the big sluggers coming up for the Mets. In St. Louis, and the hometown team, the Cardinals, the world champions of Major League Baseball, trailing the New York Mets 5-1 as we start the 7th inning. And Tyler Johnson is in from the Cardinal bullpen in relief of Chris Carpenter. Carpenter went 6, charged with 5 runs and 9 hits while he was in there. And here's Tyler Johnson, and he comes in having to face the big sluggers right away. Beltran, Delgado, and Wright. Beltran has grounded out, been hit by a pitch, and singled home a run. And a pop-up. Out near second base, Adam Kennedy. 1 away. Beltran, his biggest contribution tonight, that throw, Joe, to nail Eckstein at the plate.
Yeah, again, it was a situation where I think Oquendo thought they were going to throw to second base. But you can see he comes up and he fires all the way. There's no way to cut it off and keep the runner from going into second base. But he's able to throw Eckstein out at the plate. And Eckstein obviously upset because that play, I won't say him, because Oquendo waved him, kept them from having possibly a big inning.
Here's Delgado, the left-handed slugger. He knocked in the first 2 runs of the night with a long double, a 2-out, 2-run double to left in the 3rd, and he is 1 for 3 in the game. 5-1, the Mets ahead in the 7th. And the fastball right by him.
Now this is one of those left-handers, those stylish left-handers that with a good breaking ball and a good fastball in, he can be effective, especially against left-handed hitters. If he can run the fastball in, chase the slider away, that's really tough on the left-handers.
Well, the breaking ball was supposed to be away, went more to the inside, and somewhere it missed somewhere.
Well, he's lucky because that could get him in trouble.
See, lefties hit only 221 last year. The right-handers had a lot more success against him, just as you surmised, Joe.
See, that's how you use statistics to embellish what I was talking about.
There, now I get it. 2 down. Now, Joe, you're talking about statistics, and you used one extremely well there. I'm giving you all the congratulations that you deserve. Now, a trivia question. Tonight's Excedrin trivia question. Who holds the record for most career home runs on opening day? Is it?
I would say B or C. No,
so you think either Frank Robinson or Dave Winfield? B or C.
B or C.
All right.
Frank Robinson or Babe Ruth.
You don't get 2 chances.
All right, well then the Babe.
So you think Babe Ruth hit more home runs on opening day than any other player of all time?
Seems logical since he hit so many.
Now, Frank Robinson sat with us yesterday in Memphis, went on the air with us.
Yeah.
Right center field by David Wright. Preston Wilson gets there. Well, Tyler Johnson, that stylish left-hander, gets it done. The 3 sluggers in a row retired. Jim Edmonds will be coming up. Cardinal slugger, last of the 7th. Let's see if Glavine is coming back out. Maybe not. I don't think. Young Cardinal fan trying to get the Cardinals going here. They're down by 4. Tom Glavine is out of the game, though, as Pedro Feliciano, left-hander, comes in to face Jim Edmonds. Edmonds, first ball swinging, fouls one back to the screen. That might be the best swing Edmonds has had tonight. Not many good swings against Tom Glavine.
Well, that ball was chasing him. That tailing fastball, is easier to have a good swing at it. Doesn't mean you can hit it, but you can have a good swing at it.
Situational type left-hander comes in to face the tough lefties. And 2 of the 3 Cardinals due up in this inning are left-handers. You got Edmonds at the plate now, then the right-hander Taguchi on deck, and another lefty, Adam Kennedy, behind him. Jim Edmonds tonight has been called out on strikes, and he has grounded into a double play. Mets turned 2 double plays behind Glavine. 1-1 to Jim Edmonds. Slider is too low. 5-1 Mets. Now, Joe, we had that trivia question. Who has the most homers hit on an opening day game in the history of baseball? We had Sheffield, Frank Robinson, Babe Ruth, and
Winfield.
Dave Winfield, and you guessed the Babe.
The Babe.
2-2 now.
But that obviously is not the answer.
You don't think so?
Well, I thought so, yes, but you gave me a little hint. You said he was in the booth with us yesterday.
I didn't say the guy who did it was in the booth yesterday.
Okay.
I just said
Frank Robinson.
I said that Frank was in the booth yesterday.
Okay.
That could be a hint, or maybe it was a misdirection.
All right. What is the official answer?
Frank Robinson hit 8 opening day home runs, Joe.
And that's all?
More than the Babe, more than anybody on that list, more than anybody who ever played the game.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, that surprises me that only 8, I mean.
Joe, if you want to be a little more prepared next time for trivia,
okay,
go on to ESPN.com for additional trivia information.
I can't believe the Babe didn't hit 8.
Frank hit 8. Willie Mays hit 7. Eddie Matthews, another Hall of Famer, hit 7. Ken Griffey Jr. has hit 7.
Oh, okay.
He's an active player. That one deflected by Feliciano, and Wright cannot pick it up, and Jim Edmonds is aboard.
Well, you said as a player, but did Frank, you counting the one he hit as a manager?
The last
player manager?
Opening day home run that Frank Robinson ever hit, and we talked to him about becoming the first African-American manager.
Yeah.
1975, he managed his first game for Cleveland, and on opening day he was in the lineup, and in his first at-bat of his first game as manager, he hit a home run.
I remember that, but are we counting that?
Well, he was a player and a manager.
All right.
Yeah. So he hit 8 home runs. He's got the all-time record for most opening day home runs hit by a player manager.
All right.
I'm guessing on that one. Infield hit for Edmonds. Here is Taguchi, another lefty. Kennedy is on deck, and the Mets bullpen is going to get busy again.
Well, I guess we'd have to consider him a player anyway, because remember he said they only paid him $20 grand to manage and $180 to play. So
Taguchi with a soaring fly ball. Moises Alou, and that is out number 1. Taguchi is now 0 for 3. Opening night 2007, the first hit of the 2007 season was a single by David Eckstein in the first inning. Jim Edmonds struck out, first strikeout of the new season. Carlos Delgado drove in the first 2 runs. Adam Kennedy had the first triple. So Taguchi, sad to say, the first error. Here's Adam Kennedy, who hit that triple back in the 3rd. And he got robbed of it. It turns out subsequent events made it a very big play by Moises Alou, a diving catch. After that, the Cardinals' next 5 hitters all reached base safely against Tom Glavine. Kennedy is 1 for 2 in the game.
So we're still waiting for our first big fly of the season.
No big fly. You know, Adam Kennedy, you don't associate him with home runs, except you and I did a game in the League Championship Series in 2002, and Adam Kennedy hit 3 home runs in the same game against the Minnesota Twins. So we've seen him hit the long ball. Short hopped by Reyes. There's one. Valentin doubles him up. Kennedy was not running. don't know if he thought that was a line drive caught or what. Easily doubled up. He would have been, I think, one way or the other. 5-1 Mets.
ESPN Opening Day is built by the Home Depot. You can do it, we can help. And in part by Suzuki, maker of performance-driven motorcycles, scooters, and all-terrain vehicles. And XM Radio.
Baseball's opening night, 2007. We're at Shea Stadium, where the Cardinals just last October won it all. They beat the Tigers right here to win the World Series. Now they are trailing the Mets 5-1 on opening night. A few months later, there's Aaron Miles, who's come in to play second base. Adam Kennedy is out. Miles comes in as part of a double switch. He'll be in the 9th spot in the order. And the new pitcher is Flores. Randy Flores, hitting in the 8th spot where Kennedy had been. So Flores, another lefty, in to face Moises Alou. Starts him with a breaking ball. Moises pops it up, shallow left. Eckstein ranging out, still going out, and makes the backhanded catch. So Taguchi right behind him. Moises is gone. Third time tonight in 4 at-bats. Moises has had his at-bat determined on the first pitch. He's now 1 for 4 overall.
John, I want to send our condolences out to Walt Jocketty and his wife, Sue. Sue's father, Larry Nelson, passed away last Monday in Minnesota, and we want to send our condolences to Walt Jocketty and Sue and their families. And yesterday he attended the funeral before he came to the Civil Rights game in Memphis. One of the truly good guys in the game, Walt Jocketty.
Good guy and an outstanding general manager.
Exactly.
1 ball, 1 strike to Sean Green. Green has had 2 hits and is also grounded out. He's 2 for 3. 5-1. The Mets lead the Cardinals. Shallow center, Jim Edmonds, and that is out number 2. So Green is retired. 5-1. The Mets ahead here in the 8th inning. Herb Carneal, the longtime voice of the Minnesota Twins in the Twin Cities areas around Minnesota and the upper Midwest. And he won the Ford C. Frick Award 1996. He's in the Hall of Fame with that. And he passed away today due to congestive heart failure. He was 83. And a very good friend of mine, Joe, and he'll be missed by Twins fans throughout that rather large portion of the country. His voice was synonymous with Minnesota Twins baseball going back to the days of Killebrew, Earl Batty, and Bob Allison, Camilo Pascual. Herb Carneal passed away today, and we send our condolences and our prayers and best wishes to his family and his lovely daughter Terry. 5-1. The Mets out in front here in the 8th inning. In fact, last night you and I and Peter Gammons had the great. That ball is just fouled by Valentin. A switch hitter, by the way, batting right-handed here. Valentin 1 for 3 in the game. We rode the Cardinals charter, and we ran into a bit of rough weather. I mean, some real rough weather, and some of the roughest anybody'd ever seen. And we had some frightening moments there. Well, but it reminded me of a story that Herb Carneal once told me about a Twins charter years ago when Tony Oliva was on the Twins, and they had some real rough weather. And that one goes to center. Edmonds back and under it. And with the plane bouncing up and down, Tony Oliva said, "Who's driving this thing, Hoyt Wilhelm?" And Hoyt Wilhelm, of course, the old great knuckleballer. We're heading to the last of the 8th inning here in St. Louis. Cardinals down by 4, 5-1. Aaron Miles in the 9th spot in the order, up for the first time of the game, facing the left-handed reliever Pedro Feliciano. The top of the order, Eckstein, and then Preston Wilson to follow. 5-1. The Mets are leading, trying to hang on to this one for Tom Glavine. Tom Glavine is standing by down in the Mets clubhouse with Peter Gammons.
Tom, when you're a command pitcher, how difficult it is to channel your emotions on an opening day and maintain your command?
It's hard because with the adrenaline of everything going on, your natural tendency is to go out there and try and throw too hard. And for somebody like me, that's not a good thing. So you have to kind of, that's where experience helps, where you can kind of temper yourself a little bit and kind of pull your emotions out of it and just understand that you need to make pitches. And in order to make pitches, you have to stay within yourself.
How many adjustments have you made over the last 3 to 5 years to keep your career going as it has?
In the last 2 years, a bunch. You know, it's just kind of been trying to work the inside part of the plate more, trying to use my off-speed stuff more, you know, just kind of mixing stuff up and getting away from being that two-pitch pitcher that so many people knew me as. And, you know, it's kind of like Rick Peterson has told me repeatedly, we got to erase the scouting report and start over. So there's been a lot of adjustments.
Now, there's been a lot made about the Mets pitching staff after you. Could this staff be a little bit better than people think?
I think we could. You know, I mean, LoDuca is experienced. He knows what he's doing. You know, he stays healthy. He's going to do a good job for us. John Maine did a great job for us last year. So with a year experience, you figure he's going to get better. And we got 2 kids on the end of the rotation that have electric stuff. So if they can kind of figure out their mechanics and get a little bit more consistent, and they're 2 guys that you're constantly talking to about taking their emotions out of what they're doing and just concentrate on making pitches. And if they can do that, they're going to help us a lot.
Do you ever look at the names in front of you, left-handed pitchers in history, and think about your place?
I try not to. It's hard not to because, you know, you hear about it so much. But, I mean, I know I'm getting into some pretty nice company, a company that I never in my wildest dreams anticipated being a part of. But I'm there, and I just want to continue to try and solidify my place on that list and you know, see if I can get to that magic number.
Tom, thank you very much. Back to John.
Thanks, Peter, and we really appreciate Tom coming on with us like that. Feliciano has walked the leadoff man, Miles. Now the top of the order coming up, Eckstein, Wilson, and Pujols, and the young right-hander Joe Smith is summoned for the bullpen by Willie Randolph. Baseball's opening night on ESPN2, delivered by the Home Depot. Welcome back to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, my Hall of Fame partner, one of the all-time great second basemen in Major League history. I don't know if you realize that, Joe, but I looked it up.
I've been wondering. Peter asked Glavine about his place. I've been wondering about my place.
You're one of the all-time greats.
Oh, okay, thank you.
This is Joe Smith from Cincinnati.
Yeah, I know. I met him before the ball game, and he said he grew up there in Cincinnati watching the Big Red Machine, and he still lives there in Cincinnati.
23 years old. This is his major league debut. He was a guy as a freshman at Wright State University who got cut from the baseball team. He came back the next year and adopted this sidearm delivery, and that's when he stuck, and he stayed with that ever since. 0-2 the count. That one hit the hand. That foul ball hit the hand of Paul LoDuca, and the trainer's going to come out.
That's why you do not want to be a catcher. I mean, you're going to get nicked up over the course of a season. That's why anytime a catcher hits well for, you know, average or whatever is some of these guys have done over the years, I'm always amazed because you get hit on the hand, you get hit on the knee, you get hit everywhere. And you can see he had his hand behind him to protect it, and because there was a runner at first, he didn't have it completely hidden. You know, you put your hand behind your right leg or put it on your right, behind your right knee or whatever to protect it. Let's see if you can see where his hand is.
Unbelievably bad luck.
Yeah, bad luck. See, his hand is down here, and it goes between his legs and gets his hand.
There goes Miles.
Well, you knew that was going to happen.
Eckstein dribbles one, and it rolls foul.
They were going to test him to see if he could throw. After taking the ball off your hand like that, a lot of times teams will just take off.
So the Cardinals, far from saying to Paul LoDuca, hey, sorry about that, or sorry, hope you're okay, instead they're trying to exploit it.
Yeah.
And when you get hit in the hand like that, what do you think LoDuca's throw would have looked like if that next ball would not hit?
Well, it depends. You know, sometimes what catchers do is they do not, on the contrary, a lot of people think they ball their fist up. You don't do that because you don't want your hand to be tight. You want your hands to be as loose as possible for if the ball hits it, it just kind of ricochets instead of breaking a bone or something.
He's not going this time. That slider is into left field, a base hit. Here come the Cardinals. And they get men on base at the right time. You've got Preston Wilson, who has some power, coming up next, and then the great Albert Pujols behind him. And Wilson knows he doesn't have to hit a home run now. They're down by 4. He just has to get on base and let Albert try to do the rest. And the Mets bullpen is very busy, by the way. And Joe Smith, the rookie in his major league debut, has not yet retired a big league hitter. That's Aaron Heilman, the right-hander. Scott Schoenweiss, the offseason acquisition, the left-hander. Sinker called a strike. He got the low strike there.
I'm a little surprised, that Tony La Russa maybe didn't use Duncan here, with this guy being a side-arming right-hander who is obviously tough on right-handed hitters.
Duncan, a big left-handed hitter with lots of power. 0-1 the count. That's foul.
Although he has showed a lot of confidence in Preston Wilson, I might add, and he's been rewarded most of the time.
Wilson's been an everyday player most of his career.
Right.
He's done well against right-handers, but also he does have the lefty Schoenweiss up in the bullpen.
Yeah.
So if he'd gone to Duncan,
maybe would have gone to Schoenweiss.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have made him do it.
He struck him out, and he made short work of him. 3 pitches and out.
That was an excellent little slide piece there. Well, he threw him a couple of fastballs, and he hadn't seen this pitch. See, if you're a hitter, you like to see the pitches quickly. Maybe it's not a slider. It looked like a slider to me. It's a sinker, actually. Look at the ball sink right at the end. I saw the movement. I thought it was a slider, but it was just a lot of movement down.
One way or the other, that was a great pitch.
Yeah, a lot of sink on that fastball.
I mean, it came in like a strike.
Yeah.
Now Pujols. 2 men on. Just off the outside. Now Albert had been up there one other time tonight with men on base, and he got a walk. Glavine clearly pitched around him in the 6th inning. Now Miles at second, Eckstein at first, and Rolen is on deck. And he's trying to get Albert to hit the ground ball, but Albert is treating those pitches with disdain. It is 2-0. And of course, Albert can't do it all right now.
No.
It would be just as good for him to get on base. Scott Rolen up next, and Rolen will be the tying.
Yeah, but I
possibly.
don't think they're thinking that way. If you're the Cardinals, you want Albert to hit. Even if he can't tie it, you want him to. He can bring it closer.
3-0.
You don't want to lose his bat.
Now, on the other hand, it looks like Joe Smith is saying, I don't want Albert to hit.
He said, maybe I can handle Scott Rolen. But again, like you say, this is the guy's major league debut, and he's having to face Albert Pujols with Scott Rolen on deck.
And he pours that one in there at the knees for a strike. They've got Heilman, the much more experienced right-hander, and a guy that Randolph likes to use in the 7th, 8th innings, ready in the bullpen. 3-1. And he walks him. And now they are loaded, and Scott Rolen will come up as the possible tying run of the game. And there's Heilman, the right-hander, heating up in the bullpen. Randolph alongside Peterson in the dugout. And what do you think, Joe? Heilman is a sinker baller, a guy who gets a lot of ground balls.
Well, I think what you're seeing here is Randolph wants to find out what he has. No, he's starting out of the dugout now. I was thinking if he leaves him in, he's trying to find out what he has in Joe Smith. Because this is, you're at the beginning of the season.
And there's the call to the bullpen for Aaron Heilman. So Smith faced 4 hitters and walked 2 of them. The worst of all, he walked the very first one he faced with a 5-1 lead. Heilman coming in. Scott Rolen, the big cleanup hitter, will be at bat when Heilman is ready to go when we return. On the 60th anniversary of Jackie Robinson's first major league game, baseball will honor a man whose impact will never be forgotten. Celebrate this historic occasion at ballparks all around the country on April 15th, and also watch the national ceremony live from Dodger Stadium right here on ESPN. We'll be back on ESPN. That's 2 weeks from tonight, Sunday the 15th at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Jackie Robinson Day. And here in St. Louis, they're on their feet. The Cardinals have been trailing in this game since the 3rd inning. They're down 5-1 now in the 8th inning, but they have the bases loaded, and there is Aaron Heilman. He was a setup man, a late inning reliever for the Mets in front of Billy Wagner last year. But he doesn't have any room for error here with Scott Rolen coming up, the possible tying run. Miles Eckstein and Pujols are the runners. By the way, reliever Feliciano issued the leadoff walk, not rookie Joe Smith.
He gave up a hit and a walk.
That's inside for ball one. So Feliciano, not Smith, walked the first batter of the inning. It was bad, whoever did it, but it was not Smith. Smith came in, gave up a hit to Eckstein, struck out Wilson, and then walked Pujols. Scott Rowland has grounded out, flied out, and been hit by a pitch. That is grabbed by Valentin Reyes.
Oh, no.
Double play.
Oh, no.
And the Mets have played some spectacular defense tonight, Joe. Nothing more spectacular than that.
That was unbelievable. I mean, just watch we talk about Reyes. This is a great play by Valentin. I talk about how he's made the plays at second base. Just great defense.
Opening night, and Pedro Feliciano, who walked the leadoff hitter in the 8th inning before he was removed, but then he and the subsequent reliever Joe Smith taken off the hook with a spectacular defense behind the third reliever of the inning, Aaron Heilman.
Well, John, this is the 4th double play for the Mets tonight. I mean, they played spectacular defense. I mean, this in itself is a fabulous stop there by Valentin. But watch the throw by Jose Reyes. I mean, if he takes any more time, he's not going to get rolling at first base. I mean, he just gets rid of the ball quickly, and you can see Valentin is highly excited. But they've played great defense. 4 double plays have bailed Mets pitchers out tonight.
Brad Thompson on to pitch now for the Cardinals in relief of Flores. He's the 4th Cardinal pitcher of the game, and he throws ball one to pinch hitter David Newhand. Newhand pinch hitting here for Heilman. The Mets, of course, have a great closer. There's the veteran Billy Wagner. There is a built-in day off after the opener here in St. Louis tomorrow. A lot of teams do this so that if opening to get rained out, then they could play it the next day. That is too high for a ball, and it is 2-1. So it won't be a save situation by the rule book for Billy Wagner, but Willie Randolph, I'm sure, like to get him in there with another day off coming tomorrow, as it is. Up the middle, and David Newhand, a new Met, gets his first hit and his first at bat. Well, Joe, you mentioned 4 double plays, but they've had several spectacular defensive plays throughout the night.
Well, exactly. I mean, Reyes, that starts the double play, charged it, like you said, turned over. Moises Alou made a great play in left field that kept them from maybe scoring. Beltran throws it all the way to the plate in the air and cuts down David Eckstein, and this one was just fabulous with the bases loaded. And we also had a great play in the hole by Reyes that we didn't get a chance to show. Remember, he made a long throw across the diamond.
The Mets have been more excited tonight when they've been in the field than when they've been at the plate.
That makes your pitching staff a lot better. I know that. Great defense will definitely help your pitching staff.
They turned 2 of those double plays behind Tom Glavine, plus the catch by Moises Alou and the throw by Beltran, all behind Glavine.
I remember Tom Seaver told me a story. He said one time when the Mets were horrible, he had to either strike the guy out or make him hit it to Bud Harrelson at shortstop. That was his only 2 options.
Reyes with a base hit to right. Newhand heading to third, and Newhand makes it to third easily. Runners at first and third now against the reliever Brad Thompson with nobody out.
Let's take a look at K-Zone, sponsored by Nationwide. Little sinker that moved back out over the plate. Reyes takes advantage of the hole. Pujols can't get over there, and neither can Miles. That's the first base hit of the ball game for Reyes.
All right, what about now, Joe? Nobody out. Is Reyes a base-stealing threat right now?
Well, he should be.
You want him to run?
I would think so, yes. Well, first of all, you have the infield playing in, so I would say yes.
LoDuca, the hitter. Mets have 11 hits in the game now.
Oh, they got him.
Reyes is picked off. Pujols runs him down and tags him out. Reyes had started to run just as Thompson turned to throw to first. Running on first move.
Well, that's that fake to third, throw over to first, which I still believe is a balk, because the rule book says you're not supposed to deceive the runner. See, that's deceive. What are you doing if you're not trying to deceive the runner? And I remember I had this conversation with a couple of umpires, and they said that they were going to try to change that, or deal with that, and they can't. See, that's a balk. I mean, you're stepping toward third, and then you turn and throw to first base.
Well, he makes a bluff pickoff to third, which is legal.
Yeah, but his foot's still on the rubber.
But then he comes off the slab before he turns to first. So see, now he's deceiving that runner, but he's off. You can deceive him if you're off the slab.
Well, we could argue that for a long time.
We've been arguing it for 18 years.
No, because originally you're doing it to deceive the runner.
Now, you have no intention of picking off the guy.
Exactly, and that's what the rule book says.
Base hit for LoDuca. Coming in to score is Newhan, and LoDuca gets his third RBI of the game. 6-1 Mets. And now the big power hitters coming up with Beltran and Delgado behind him, then Wright, then Alou.
Well, looking at the way that LoDuca has handled the second slot tonight, I don't know if we're going to see David Wright move up into that spot. And as everything seems to be going well for the Mets, not only today, but last year as well, it's a pretty good lineup they have.
Beltran has an RBI. He's had one hit that knocked in a run. He's also scored a run. One hit, 3 at bats. He also got hit by a pitch.
So there's a lot of talk about the Mets and their pitching woes, but there are a lot of teams with pitching woes. But the real thing is, you have such a good offensive lineup, you can beat up on average teams. Just beat them with offense. The only time that your pitching will be exposed is if you're playing against a good team that also has good pitching. And then you have to try to match them. And if you can't do that, then you may have a problem. But your offense can win you a lot of ball games. And that's what, even they did that last year, you know, when they were short on pitching. Going to be a very good pitcher. I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people because he's got great stuff.
He did well the last couple of months of last year.
Yeah, and I think he's going to pick up where he left off. Just watching him, seems to have good composure. He's got good stuff, and I just believe he's going to be a good pitcher.
Beltran back to Thompson. Here's one. Eckstein back to first. Down in time. Beltran is a very fast runner. Tough to double up. LoDuca out at second.
Sure. Yes.
Peter, is that you?
I'm right here. I completely agree with Joe about the Mets offense and being able to beat up on bad teams. I mean, I really, you know, as we've talked about all night, it's going to come down to their pitching depth, getting Pedro Martinez back by the 1st of August. But they also have, as they have, you know, the Gomez kid and they have the Martinez kid coming along at AA, they can maybe trade a Lastings Millage and get a starting pitcher at the end of July. I just think this team is so good. They're the team to beat. As much as the Braves have improved their pitching and as much as the Phillies are a very dangerous team, I just think the Mets are the team to beat in the National League.
No doubt, in my opinion, the Mets are the team to beat. But I think a lot of teams, the Cardinals included, they're going to play the hand that they have right now and see how it works.
Delgado into the defense. Pujols to Eckstein at second for the force out on Beltran. Delgado finishes up 1 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Billy Wagner will be coming in, the Mets' outstanding closer. Yadier Molina to face him when we return. Back at Busch Stadium, where the Mets lead the Cardinals. Fans, be sure and watch your team's out-of-market games live wherever you are, from anywhere in the world. Major League Baseball right to your desktop. Go to ESPN.com and search MLB.TV. Sign up today. They have a new package, Joe, MLB.TV Premium. Much higher quality.
On TV?
Yeah. Well, and you can put the mosaic on and get 6 different games all at the same time.
Well,
and then pick
my
and choose
attention
which one you
span
want.
is not that good. So I can watch 6 at once.
Well,
I watch 1 at a time.
This wouldn't be perfect for you, maybe.
No, but I have. That's why you have a remote.
This would be good for Carl Ravitch and John Kruk and Tim Kirsch and those guys who sit there and watch
all day.
6, 8, 10 games at the same time.
I have a remote. I just flip back and forth.
Yadier Molina against Billy Wagner. 1 ball, 1 strike. No save opportunity here for Wagner. In effect, he's getting his baptism under fire for the season here, but also almost like he's still in a spring training mode, getting a little work in to be ready in case they need him in earnest for game 2 on Tuesday here at Busch Stadium. And a foul out of play by Molina, who is 1 for 3 for the Cardinals, 6-1. By the way, you and Peter have an interesting conversation there about the Mets and how good they are and how good they were last year. They won 97 games last year. Right. They and the Yankees they were tied for the best records in all of baseball. That's too low for a ball, 2-2 the count. But they weren't really tested by anybody in their own division last year. And I think the thinking is, with the changes that the Braves made in their bullpen, they've bolstered that bullpen with a couple of great acquisitions, that the Braves might be back this year. And the Phillies, of course, came on strong at the end last year with Ryan Howard, Chase Utley leading the way. So they might get a little more challenge in their own division.
Well, that's probably so. I expect the Braves to be much better. And, you know, they believe that if they'd had a closer all year, they could have been in the race anyway.
That one is into center field, and that's in front of Beltran. And Molina has his second hit of the game with Jim Edmonds due up next, but Edmonds is not going to bat. It'll be Scott Spezio instead, pinch hitting for Edmonds. And Peter, there's the way it finished up in the National League East last year. The Mets just ran away with it, but I think maybe it could be a little tighter this year. What do you think?
Well, I agree entirely. I think that, you know, with the Phillies, if Hamels and Myers develop into big-time top-of-the-rotation starters, I mean, they'll be that much better. And the Braves, I'll tell you, Tim Hudson is going to have a monster year, I believe. And you mentioned getting Soriano and Gonzalez in front of Bob Wickman, and gives Bobby Cox maybe the deepest bullpen he's ever had.
Yeah, they went out and they signed another closer. Gonzalez had been the closer for the Pirates at 24 saves last year. And Soriano, the setup man in Seattle, pitching in front of J.J. Putz, the closer, but he got closer-type stuff.
Yeah, Soriano has good stuff. You're exactly right. Look, I think the Braves will be better, but I think the Mets lineup, and we've seen a display of their defense tonight. The infield defense is always the most important part of any game, any team. Your infield defense. And remember, you know, David Wright is getting better. He's still younger. Reyes is getting better. Valentin is playing great. Delgado is good at first. I mean, this is a very good inner defense, and that's what wins ball games.
A pop-up, shallow right center. Valentin, and the out as Spezio, the pinch hitter for Edmonds, is retired. That's one away.
I mean, it's great to see guys run down balls in the outfield and etc., but the infield play is what distinguishes the good teams from the other guys. I mean, if you can make all the plays on the infield, do not make mistakes on the ground ball. Make the double plays when it's there. Because remember, it's easier to catch a fly ball than it is to catch a ground ball. So all of that comes into play. So your infield defense is the most important part of your defense.
One out. So Taguchi, the hitter, he's 0 for 3. One other aspect, talking about the Braves, nobody in the league really can hit with the Mets. Nobody has a lineup in the National League that it compares to the Mets. The closest last year really was Atlanta.
Yeah.
They had a lot of power with Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones, and Adam LaRoche. That ball is a base hit. Finally got one by Jose Valentin. First hit of the year for Taguchi. Molina over to second and holding. So 2 men on now. And they're going to go to the bench again here. And Gary Bennett, the backup catcher, number 28, is going to pinch hit for Adam Kennedy, or rather for the pitcher. Kennedy already out of the game as part of a double switch in the previous inning. So Bennett is pinch hitting for Thompson. The Braves, though, can slug, but relief pitching is at such a premium right now.
Yeah.
To get Mike Gonzalez from the Pirates, they gave up a first baseman who hit 32 home runs last year, Adam LaRoche. That's a high price to pay for a guy who pitched one inning maybe 3-4 times a week. And they traded away one of their top starting pitchers, remember the rotation, Horacio Ramirez, to the Mariners to get Rafael Soriano. Gary Bennett, a broken bat bloop, but there is Valentin, the infield fly in effect anyway, so he was already out. And that is out number 2. So 2 down.
My answer to that is John Sherholtz and Bobby Cox. Those two guys always know what they're doing. They're very good at managing winners, and you can never count them out, which I didn't do last year either. But I still believe the Mets, because of those 8 guys they're going to put out there most of the time, it's going to be tough, to beat them over 162 games.
And the Phillies, they made a great run at the end. They were actually in the running for the wild card up until the final few days. But, and Peter Gammons maybe could speak more to this. I've been reading that they're not real happy with the look of their bullpen right now. That ball is in the right side. In fact, we might have to wait till next Sunday to ask Peter about that. This ball game is over. Miles with the fly ball to Endy Chavez, and the New York Mets, the winningest team in the National League last year in the regular season, with a very impressive win tonight. And Tom Glavine wins his 291st career victory, another step closer to 300.
And we saw evidence of why we were talking about Jose Reyes being the most exciting player in the game. He didn't do as much offensively, but we saw a lot of his defense tonight. And we saw the Mets play great defense. And if they continue to play great defense, the pitching is never going to look bad.
A great night for the Mets on defense all the way around from several different people, including in the one inning where the Cardinals had a chance to get back into it against Glavine, when both Alou and Beltran came up big in that inning. Tom Glavine, so we check the ESPN game track, 6 innings, 1 run, 6 hits allowed, as he wins his 291st victory. He's 5th on the all-time list among left-handers. Carlos Delgado knocked in the first 2 runs with a double in the third, a 2-out double over the head of Taguchi. And then this ground ball base hit by LoDuca brought 2 more runs home in the 4th inning to make it 4-0. Beltran drove in run number 5 right after with a base hit in the 4th. It's a 5-0 lead. Glavine has never lost a game with a 5-run lead or more in his career. Paul LoDuca had a big night, 2 hits, 3 RBIs. He's standing by with Peter Gammons.
Paul, you had a couple of hits, you knocked in 3 runs, but you were at the end of the most important play of the game, the throw that Carlos Beltran made at home plate. Did you even think he was going to throw home?
No, I didn't. It was one of those situations where, keep the runner at first base there. Carlos came up firing and threw a bullet to home, and, perfect throw and perfect time. We played great defense all night.
How important is the defense to this team? I mean, we've seen it in the infield. We've seen Beltran in the center field. Is that one of the real key things on this club?
Definitely, because we're going to score runs. We know that as a team, as a unit. And I think our pitching is, they did it last year. They said we had no pitching, and we finished 2nd in all of baseball. And I think it's going to happen again this year. But we played solid defense all year last year, and we got basically the same ball club. So, defense is key because we're going to put up numbers.
How important is it for you to be able to nurse some of these young pitchers through the season?
Well, I let them do what they want to do. I know Joe Smith out there, first kid was in college 2 years ago, but he handled it well and told them to have fun, and you got to let them go. Sometimes when you tell them too much, you put too much in their head. So, the guys grew up a lot. Oliver Perez and Maine and the other young kids grew up a lot in the playoffs last year. We got a lot of new faces, but I think we got very good arms.
Paul, thank you very much.
Thanks, Peter.
Back to you guys.
An impressive night for LoDuca and for the Mets as a group. We knew about their offense. Tonight we saw their defense could win some ball games for them as well. A lot of baseball on ESPN and ESPN2 tomorrow. Opening day for many ball clubs. Joe and I will be in Kansas City to see the Red Sox and the Royals at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Up next on ESPN2 is The Natural. Major League Baseball celebrates an epic. Now, for Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons, this is John Miller saying good night from St. Louis. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.